Good. So, hi, Maz.
Hi again. I want to talk to you about a dispenser which I made, and this dispenser, it was not leaking, sorry, it was producing water. It wasn't producing water on a mass scale, of course not, but I think if I wanted it to produce water on a mass scale, it will take a little bit of tuning and thought, a lot of ideas of what to do, and I'm sure I could probably accomplish it. And I didn't realize that the water dispenser is going to be releasing water. I didn't create it for that. Yeah. The idea that I had was to create a water dispenser which has a huge core that has the nanometals in it and Gans. And this huge core, from my experience, the nanometals that I've used in making Gans itself, my experience is that using, let's say if you're using a pen, now the pen might be good, the pain pen might be good to take away pain, but it's not the best thing in making Gans. If you want to take, it might be a great thing, just putting it in a, in a plastic tub and putting the pen in there with a zinc rod or sheet and some salt water, and then putting those two together.
Yeah, it does.
That produces CO2 Gans or zinc, and probably some zinc oxide.
Yeah.
So, if you look at that production, you don't see that great production of Gans. Unlike the mesh, if you get a copper mesh and nano coat the copper mesh, if you leave the copper mesh nano coated, spiraled up and put it into a tub, what you will notice is the Gans is just coming off of it like a duvet cover. You know, the next day you can just see white, and you're like, what the, is that real? I mean, it's snowing. You can see it snowing. And then you never see that before. So I believe that the mesh can really give this field, and I'm using the mesh right now with wires. I'm using it in these pendants that I've been making. I will show you one pendant, even though we're talking about the dispenser.
Okay.
It's just to give you a rough idea. These meshes, they go in these pendants. Now, even though it's a small,
it's a very fine mesh, is it?
It's the mesh don't have to be very fine as long as it's a mesh.
Right.
It doesn't matter as long as it's the mesh, because what you've got thousands, not one pen. I mean, the pen will work to take it might be the best thing to take away pain, but it's not going to work when as you want it to work, exactly as you want it to work when it's in a world of water. So there's a different field interaction going on there. The water has, it will take a vibration out to another a far distance, and that distance, whatever you have in that tub. So because you've got a zinc rod with the nano coating metal, they're interacting. Them, as Keshe said, they marry. So if you put a mesh in there, the mesh would be thousands of times better than the pen itself or any metal sheet or rod. The sheet is very good. The copper sheet is very good. But in all honesty, I found that the mesh is the one that makes the greatest fields. I mean, in taking away pain, I don't know. I'm a beginner. Okay, I'm a beginner. Now, what I did was I followed the procedure of giving polarity, giving a coating, giving a polarity, giving a coating, giving a polarity. Now, what I did was by my coating is a little bit different to a lot of people's coating. What I did was that I took hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid is very dangerous. So if you're buying hydrochloric acid, you've got to really be careful. Take procedures and wear gloves and mask and whatever. So I got hydrochloric acid, and I put some herbs and added some hydrochloric acid so that the herbs would go into an acidic solution like it would in the stomach. Okay, and I extracted those it looks like a Gans when you're extracting it, but you're extracting its soul, basically. You're extracting it from its physical body. And what I do is then I make that acidic solution into a very alkaline solution gently. Yeah, I don't just throw. You can do. Don't get me wrong. You can do.
Yeah. By
adding powdered herbs. Sorry, I mean you do your Gans with the herbs.
Yeah.
And then you would add caustic soda
to bring it back into balance.
Yeah, but what you can do, you can put the caustic soda, in a liquid first of all. Make sure that the reaction goes away. Very hot heat reaction.
Yes.
So you're not burning nothing. A lot of people, they talk about when they're making Gans from herbs or whatever like that, they're actually using a slight heat. They would boil the herbs. But what I'm doing is I'm using fresh herbs, clean herbs in its raw state by placing it into an acid and then making that acid into an alkaline and then adding that alkaline water into a bucket, a tub. You can have a tub that big or that big. It don't matter. It depends how many bits of metal you're nano-coating. And you would just add the caustic solution. You cover your metal with it. So you pour the caustic solution which you've made, and you completely cover the metal and leave it there for. I know people leave it there for one night, and then after that they take it out of the solution and then just steam it with a hot caustic solution again for the second process or the third process or whatever they're doing, if they are doing it for many processes. But what I do, sorry to cut you, what I do is I leave it to marinate as you like in the caustic solution. So that way it wants to produce nano-coating, but yet it's getting torn away because of the caustic solution. So eventually what you have is a lot of copper releasing spectrums of this nano-coating, and it's going into the solution. The solution will quickly turn blue. And if you leave it for many days, if you leave it for 3 days, you're going to create 3, 4 days, 5 days, you're going to create a dark blue solution. And this dark blue solution, which now contains your herbal Gans, you can take this solution and dip a bit of copper in there and take it out. It will nano-coat your copper much more quicker. This is what I've seen. And now when I do a nano-coating, I do it in a cold caustic solution, which nano-coats it very quickly, really. In 3 days, you can have a very, very great copper coated. Anyway, what you can do is you could put that into the solution for 1 day. Once you've created that, your solution, you could put it in for 1 day and then just take it out. And then on the second day, or even on the same day, but later on that day, just dip it back into that solution and put it back into the tub, cover it, and then it will start to produce your nano-coating much quicker. So that on the first day, you can dip it and leave it there overnight and then take it out. And then just after that, only slightly touching it with a cold caustic, and then putting it to the side, and it will be nano-coated very well. And this nano-coating will cover, it will be very dark, very strong, and it will have different spectrums. The copper itself, if you burn it, it has different spectrums of light, like blue, yellow, green, whatever, like a rainbow. Now, herbs have a spectrum as well. So you've got different spectrums intermingling here. And the marriage is more stronger. This is what I believe, because it's natural and it's nature. The marriage is much easier a process. The coating becomes a much better thing, I believe, and much quicker. This is what I've observed, and I've heard a lot of people having problems with the caustic. I noticed that they do a lot of boiling water or boiling the actual metals in the caustic, and it's just steaming it for 3 days in a row, and think you don't really need to do that. I don't believe that, unless there is some reason that I don't know about it, because my knowledge, like I said, is very limited in this subject. If somebody's found out plasmatically that what I'm doing is wrong, they can let me know.
Yeah.
But this is what I found. So I nano coated this mesh, and you know, I spiraled it, and it was quite thick.
Okay.
And
In the middle of your dispenser.
Yes, I nano coated it. Every time I nano coated this, every day that I nano coated it, I gave it a polarity. And
Drained the charge.
yeah, sometimes I would give it the polarity every 4 hours or 8 hours. I'd give it a polarity on the same day,
Okay.
and then I would put it back into the caustic, and I would carry on like this for about, I think it was probably over 10 days. But when I advertised it, I probably advertised it as 10 days of nano coating.
Wow.
What I did realize is every time I did give it a polarity, it did become stronger. I mean, the people that don't give pens or any of these coating a polarity, they're not going to see what they want to see. If you give it a polarity, you're going to see action. If you don't give it polarity, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Keshe said, if in the first place, right in the beginning, if you don't give it that polarity, it ain't going to work. Right. This is in one of his videos. So
he said if you're just using your nano-coated plates to make Gans in the saline water, he said you don't need to drain the charge, because the water the water can still interface with the nano-coating and create a structured interface.
Sorry, can you repeat that from the beginning, please?
Mr. Kesh said, as I remember, that if you're just using the nano-coated plates to make Gans in the saline water, then the draining the charge isn't so important. He said,
what do you mean draining? What do you mean draining the charge? You mean giving it a polarity?
Your voltmeter probe, one on the plate and one to earth.
Oh, yes.
Creating the polarity. That draws the plasma through the plate, and it aligns the nano layers in one direction.
Okay, great.
So that's what it's doing. So it's aligning the layers.
Excellent, yeah.
You know, better structuring. But he said that's not so important if you're dipping it in the saline water, because that will create a connection with all the atoms anyway.
Yes.
Like it's fuzzy, but the water can get into all the fuzzy bits.
When you putting it into a salt solution, it's not important. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I believe he said that. Not so important. You can do it, but the water will connect anyway. But for power and health, you need to have the flow line defined.
Yeah, I mean, when I completed the mesh, I actually put it in the core with the Gans. So coming back to the core itself.
Yeah.
I mean, I went through all of that stages, what you're talking about, of giving it... Sorry, let me just plug my laptop in. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah,
okay.
I went through the state...
Dispenser design.
Yes, the dispenser was just... it's a big dispenser, 8 litres probably, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure how much you can fit in there. But the core was absolutely beautiful. It was a huge core, and it left enough space to add all the materials I wanted. And what I did is I made these mini magravs. Smaller than this. This is a personal one, so I'm allowed to touch it. This is a medium one. I made actually a much smaller one, probably the size of this one here, but with a smaller wire. This is a much bigger gauge wire. I think it's 14 gauge.
14, yeah.
You
put them inside the core.
I put the mesh inside the core, and it was, you know, spun around, and I made it nice and tight, and I stuck it into the core, and I added a little mini one of those magravs and a crystal, which had a wire wrapped very strongly on the crystal itself. Because you know, if you wrap crystal with a copper wire, it gives it a piezoelectric effect. So it makes it go into, you know, this piezoelectric. If you know anything about piezoelectric, it might not nothing to do with Keshe's technology, but I mean, if you wrap a piece of crystal very strongly, it will create piezoelectric electric from that crystal.
Uh-huh.
So what I did by adding that there was also nano coated, and it was placed into the Gans core.
Okay, right.
After completing it, you know, I added all the Gans. The Gans was the Gans was on its own absolutely amazing, because the Gans, you know, it took 7 days of collecting amino acids from these Gans. I mean, I couldn't believe the amount of amino acid that was being delivered from this. This is a tub about this size.
Okay.
And
what process for that? Was that copper mesh and zinc plate?
What I done in that process to make the herbal Gans, this herbal Gans, I've had so much good news from it. The great result. What I done with this herbal Gans is I took some hydrochloric acid again, and extracted the herbs using hydrochloric acid, and then raising the alkaline with baking soda.
Yeah, yeah.
And then adding the salt into it. Salt,
right?
Like a Dead Sea salt, and melt.
Did you have the Gans gel in that as well? Then it wasn't the Gans water from it.
Oh, sorry. What do you mean?
You had the nano Gans there, did you?
When I made this Gans, are you talking about? Did I add or did I make?
Did you keep it? When you've made your herbal Gans,
yeah,
that's the nano gel and the plasma water.
Oh, you mean the nano? Yeah, the Gans itself, and then the water. What about it? Sorry, I didn't understand.
What component did you put into your saline solution for creating?
So once I actually made the herbal solution with the acid, and then raise it up to
neutral,
to about pH 8.
Okay.
What I did was I used a pH meter to raise it up to and slowly watch it to raise up to about pH 8, and then I put inside the tub a graphite rod with a zinc plate, a big zinc plate, and only one graphite rod, one little graphite rod.
Okay.
And this was, and I put a 3 volt DC adapter, and I added to this 3 volt adapter a little kid's toy motor and a LED, just to extract some extra voltage from it. And the production of the amino was just absolutely uncontrollable. I had to keep collecting it. If you look at the picture on eBay, there's a big, massive foam in the tub itself.
Wow.
And there is a massive foam of amino acid. You can see it developing like a spectrum of different lights.
Jeez.
First of all, like a layer of a gelatin kind of material. It looks, or crystalline material on top of the tub. And then it produced a massive foam of amino, and I had to keep collecting it. And this carried on for 7 days. It carried on, and it was just absolutely amazing, because I've not seen amino acid being produced on that scale.
Can I clarify?
Voltage. Yeah, sorry.
So in the water, was it a saline solution with your herbal Gans solution of distilled water?
Yeah, once I created the herbal alkaline solution, then I would add the salt, and then I would add the salt, and then
the volume with distilled water. Okay.
Yeah, it's got to be distilled water.
Yeah, and you weren't applying 3 volts. You were using a little toy that would take.
Yeah, I was using in between a little motor, a toy motor. And I was using an LED. Yeah, yeah, because
to draw the galvanic current off rather than putting any in.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
With the carbon stick. Okay.
It seemed to be quite powerful at the end of the 7 days. Anyway, I had to, you know, I didn't want it to go for 7 days, but I kind of got some guidance
Right.
for to leave it for 7 days. And after 7 days, it just seemed to be very, very powerful. I gave it to a doctor friend in the UK. He you know, I got to know him from eBay. What he does, he has this meetings in the neighborhood, and he and his wife sat down with about 30 people in this place where they had meetings from the neighborhood, and he gave this bottle of Gans. He started hanging. I gave him a bottle of this Gans, and he started to hand it out to people. And there was this lady who didn't hear, apparently. Oh, sorry, she couldn't smell. She couldn't smell before. So when she first held it, she said she can't feel nothing. But for a few minutes, she started feeling something. I don't recall what he said that she said that she was feeling, but instantly after that, she said, "That's strange. I can actually smell now." She wasn't able to smell before. Wow. Yeah, so it was a very strange and amazing.
Good testimonial. Can I ask, before we carry on with the dispenser, what herbs were you using?
The herbs is roughly about 20 herbs. I mean, I can't remember all of them off by heart, but what I was planning to do, because I was very much into weight training. At the moment, I'm not, but I was very much into weight training. What I wanted to actually do is create a Gans for men or for weight trainers, and then make a Gans for women as well.
Okay.
But the Gans for the men, what I wanted to do, this is what my initial idea was create a Gans that produces mass testosterone.
Okay.
So we can have incredible hulks walking about with a plasmatic testosterone. So what I wanted to do was create just a Gans for the men to wear it as a pendant.
Yeah.
You know, as a longevity kind of solution. Yeah. The ideas that I got for the herbs are from, I mean, I'm an acupuncturist, and I've been doing herbal medicines and things like that for years. I'm not as much into the herbs as some acupuncturists might be, because I've studied other stuff like electrical frequencies and different things like that, therapies and other therapy, chi therapy. So my experience.
Was it local? You sourced it locally, did you? The herbs?
No, I brought it from eBay. I selected places to buy these herbs, organic, and you know, my idea was to make. At first, I told you a testosterone Gans, but I changed my mind in the end, because I said, you know, the first lot that I should be making should be available to all humanity, not just man. Yeah, so the man thing can be a bit later. So what I decided to do is add Gans which can be good both for men and women. There is one very special herb that both women and men like in Africa. It's called Mondia or something like along those lines. If I'm wrong, somebody can correct me. I think it's called Mondia, and that herb has become a bit more rarer in Africa. But that herb was used by now. Anyone listening to this is going to be a bit laughing, but the men back in Africa back in those days, they had private parts, very, very huge private parts the size of elephants, right? So that in Africa they have said that this is kind of stopped now because of the pollution and the GMO stuff that is peeping in. So African men from those type of tribes, they're not getting the nutrition they would get before. But I mean, this herb was the herb that they would eat when they were younger up into older age, and this herb is so beneficial for the women's hormones and a lot of immune system problems. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. What I did is I added Mondia. This Mondia, it was sent to me by a friend of mine in Finland who is married he's from Finland himself, but he's married to an African lady, and he went to Africa and he was introduced to this, and obviously, you know, yeah, you can imagine how he felt over the moon. Yes. So I've introduced this herb into the Gans. I've added the herbs, all the herbs that the oldest man ever recorded to have lived. It was a Chinese man. I can't remember his name off by heart. I mean, I can get it from the internet, but I mean, the viewers can also do a little search. He was the oldest man. He died at the age of 256. Okay, he was a herbalist and a Qigong master. He was in the military as well. And this man, you know, he was 256. He died in, I think, 1931 or 33. And he died. Before he died, he gave, people asked him what he used, and the herbs that he used were roughly, I think, about some of the herbs. I think it was about 6 or 7 herbs that he used. One of them is called He Shu Wu. He Shu Wu is known in Chinese medicine to make you more younger. It gives you a jing energy in the kidney. This is a life force. It gives you a good energy in the kidney and the liver, and it creates you to have your grey hair turn back to black if black was your original hair.
Okay.
I put all the herbs that he used, including goji berries.
Yeah.
I can't remember, gooseberry pop probably. There's other herbs that he used. I used all of those, including many other herbs, and including date syrup, actual date syrup. And you know, date syrup, date itself contains so many minerals.
Right.
I put algae. I put I can't remember what they call it. The grass from the sea. What they called it?
Spirulina or kelp or seaweed.
Exactly. Seaweed. Sorry. Yeah.
So the herbal Gans you sell on eBay, the blue bottle, is that what this is?
That is what this is. But I mean, now people are listening to what I'm saying. They don't have to do exactly what I did with the herbs that I did and then go and search what I did.
Yeah.
Though the results what I did with those herbs are absolutely amazing. The final product was an earth-smelling Gans. In fact, when I sent this Gans in a cachet pen to a lady in America, she was like, "Is this normal? I've received this pen and it looks like there's mud inside." And I was laughing, you know. I said, "You know, exactly, because this Gans actually smells like earth and it looks like earth." So
okay. So
anything can be tried.
Just watching the time here. So if we drop back onto the water dispenser, you've got the central core, you've got your herb Gans water in it.
Yeah.
And maybe the Gans gel as well.
Yeah, I've got the Gans itself in it. I've filled it up with Gans. There is no Gans water. I mean, it will, when it settles, there will be a little bit of water. It's just pure Gans from this. Yeah. Okay. So what I did was I also added a little bit of Gans of dolomite, which, if anybody knows about ormus, dolomite ormus. Yeah. So all I did was place that dolomite a little bit more of a higher pH, and it became. Okay. I mixed a little bit with that with gold Gans and CH3 CuO, and when you hold the core, you know, at first you know. You're thinking, okay, let's try and feel. Do I feel anything from this? Yeah. In a few seconds or to a few minutes, you could feel a beat in your hand. Right. And you feel like almost a moisture within your hand. Right. The energy is evident. Anyone who says I'm not sensitive to energy, like some people are, they can hold a thing and then, you know, they can feel if it's got energy or not. If you're sensitive or not, it really don't matter with this core. If you hold this core, you're going to be sensitive.
Okay, sounds good.
It was that good. So coming back to what I was saying, using the mesh, I don't think there's anything better than the mesh when at the moment. Okay. In placing it into Gans, the mesh has to be the way forward.
It's got a much bigger surface area, hasn't it? So it makes sense.
It's just absolutely amazing. I mean, you've got thousands of wires.
Yeah.
Everywhere, and one is facing the other as well because they're intertwined like that, and the field is just incredible. The next day after making this Gans, I left it to the core. I left it to the side, and I came back to check it, and I found some water on the core, and I was like, "Oh no!"
Yeah, right. So on the outside of the glass.
Yeah, it wasn't glass. The core is plastic.
Is it okay? So on the outside of the plastic, you saw water condensing, manifesting.
Yeah, I saw like drips all over there, and moisture, little moisture over there. So when I held it, I was like, "What's going on here?" You know, and I found there's water, and I was like, "Oh no!" All my work, all that hard work, and somehow there's a leak. You know, so I was like, "Oh my God!" You know, but what if I said it's producing water?
Yeah.
What if it's producing water? So I checked for a leak because I've noticed, you know, there's a Gans ball before, with, you know, in one of the videos where you see Gans ball spinning and it's releasing water. I was thinking, hold on, if this is releasing water without spinning, I might have become here, you know, a better scientist than anyone else. What do I have here now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I thought what I'd do is I'll check it. I checked it. I found nothing. I left it to the side, and I came back the next day. And I found that the same thing which I wiped the day before, I found it again. You know, this moisture. Now, what I did was I left that core eventually. After that day, I left the core within the dispenser itself.
Okay.
And I totally forgot about it. I just left it until the day I sent it to a friend who has cancer. She's a dear friend who has cancer. I sent her the core, and the day that I sent it, I took everything out just to check it and then wrap it up. And when I took it out, I found water in the dispenser.
Yeah, right. So it was an empty dispenser. The outer core was empty, and you found water collected in the bottom.
I found water not only in the bottom, I found water on the sides as well.
Okay.
So, you know, I was trying to work out, could there have been like a dampness or something?
Some condensation.
Was there a heat in there isn't none of those things, you know. So I was actually quite amazed, because on the first day of making it, the next day I found that there was water on the core on the outside. And by the way, it wasn't trapped in the dispenser on the first day. It was left out on the side. It wasn't trapped within the dispenser. There was no heat to be produced, so it can produce like damp. So when I first saw that, and then the second day, and then the last time I saw that water, it convinced me that this dispenser miraculously was producing water.
Awesome.
You know, I started laughing here because, you know, I was thinking, if there's some religious freaks out there, nuts, who like to make money from lies, they can use this dispenser. They can use this and they call it the miracle dispenser, you know?
Yeah.
It produces water, but it's not producing enough water to actually drink.
Okay.
There is no water to be drunk here. I mean, it's just enough water. It made about a quarter of a glass.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
that's amazing, though. Something, isn't it?
It's amazing because it's a dispenser. At the bottom of the dispenser, there's a base, and this base contains Orgonite, and inside the Orgonite there is a scalar Mobius device, but it's not your Mobius, your normal Mobius. What this is a round donut Orgonite, and it contained like a torus.
Yeah, a toroidal coil.
Toroidal coil going around it.
Wow, you've been busy.
Yeah, in a scalar fashion, all around it. It made it into a scalar coil all around it, and then on top of that was a scalar coil wrapped around a piece of crystal. It took absolutely a long time. The coil, the whole thing itself. Sorry. This is a friend who I gave the dispenser to. She's contacting me right now. I'm really sorry if you see. Yeah. I'll speak to her in a little while.
Yeah.
So
okay.
So I created this Orgonite. This Orgonite substance is another subject. It will take another.
Yeah.
It's not like the normal Orgonite what you see. I'm a bit of a religious guy. I'm not that religious, but I mean, I studied in my holy book something about the organ. You know, I'm a Muslim. I follow the Quran, and our books mentions about a certain people, which is the Gog and Magog, as the Christians know. The Gog and Magog. We call them Ya'juj wa Ma'juj.
Okay.
So Ya'juj wa Ma'juj, Gog and Magog. Those times they were corrupting and making all sorts of problems for the people. And the people back then, they asked for a man, for this man to help. He wasn't a prophet, but he was given a lot of knowledge by God himself. He was given the knowledge of how to make, by God, how to make a certain wall, a dam, to stop these Gog and Magog. There's a lot of secrets to go into this, and this subject can take,
we haven't got time to go too far off.
Over an hour. But the materials that he was told by God to make was like this tar kind of solution, which a guy from Iraq, he has got a book, and he told me that in the book it tells you that a certain tar looking substance which was used from trees, and it's still around to this day, and it goes quite solid. So what happens was, in the Quran it's mentioned that this man mixed, his name is Dhur Qarnayn. Dhur Qarnayn is like, it either means to the two horns or the two times, and I believe we're living in the second time of using this orgonite. And he was told to mix the metals together in this material and put this on the mountain to create a set, like a closer, a dam. So there was a wall between the people and Ya'juj wa Ma'juj, Gog and Magog. So this, you know, I mean, obviously it's a mountain. What is a mountain? It's a crystal, it's quartz. Yeah. So when you're trapping it into resin, when you're trapping resin onto it with metal, you're enclosing it, and it's basically orgonite. I think copper was used and iron. I'm not sure of all the metals, or brass, or sorry, or it could have been brass. But anyone can check the Quran for the actual materials. So this Gans that I've made has been over the years of studying different knowledges on the subject, but I've also had some insight, visions and things like that, how to make an actual orgonite material a little bit different to the one that used to be on the market, and it's very effective. On top of this orgonite, I placed one of these coils, and around this coil is little spiral coils connected up one to another. And this lady who has cancer, which I have to speak to in a minute, I'm scheduled to speak to her on a Friday as well. This lady, she has the ability, she has a gift to see auras. The gift to feel the energy. The first time she ever came across the pen, she felt and she saw the aura. She mentioned it to the doctor friend, what even colors of the auras were being used. Now, I'm an energy instructor. Now, I know years ago I've done some experiments, but my sensitivity to energy is not as great as hers. You know, thank God for her ability. She's a British lady, and she's amazing. She's absolutely amazing. She does healing, but unfortunately she's got cancer. Can happen to any one of us. I sent the dispenser to her, and she puts a chair on top of the core, the base of the dispenser, so she's sitting above the magrav to a certain distance. And I said to her, how big is that distance? She said to me, like this. And I was like, oh, that's too far, you know. She said, no, it's too strong. I said to her, wow, really? She said, yeah, it's really, really too strong. I can feel it, and it's too much for me. So I was quite amazed. The core itself, she said as well, that it's too strong. It's very, very strong. So it's amazing that she's always drinking water from this. So from what I understand from her, it's covered the whole house with this energy field, which we call chi or plasma. And everybody now, two of her friends have come down there, or a few friends, but she told me about two of them who want to contact me. They seem to have been getting some sort of benefit from the dispenser as well. I would have to talk to her to get more detail, but the lady is giving only good reports right now. She's just finished chemo. She's kind of giving up on chemo because it's killing her. So let's hope that this lady, and pray for her.
Yeah.
If anyone hears this, they can all pray for this lady.
Yeah.
I don't want to say her name because she's not given me permission.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, got to respect her privacy. This lady is absolutely amazing. She sees auras. The lady, she can feel and see the energy of the dispenser, and she says it has filled her home. Okay, yeah. She could be a liar, or she could be telling the truth. Now, she wasn't told. She wasn't told about this pen. Oh, it produces plasmatic energy or something. She wasn't. She just said, you know, the doctor says, hey, here you go, hold this. Oh, I can see energy coming out of this.
Right.
I can see, and she could tell you where it's coming out.
You can look at your pyramid as well.
The pyramid, she's not seen it. I mean, I've not sent her.
Tell you what effect it has.
That's a very good thing, you know, but that would mean I'd have to send her more free stuff. Yeah? So
go and see her.
I might put that pyramid up on sale on eBay now. Actually, you said that maybe she would see this video and get some good ideas.
She's in England, yeah?
Yeah, she's in the UK, and I probably can get her to speak to you if you want.
Whereabouts?
She's very busy.
Yeah.
I think she might be, and I'm not sure. I think she might be in Kent.
Kent, okay.
I can't remember. I did send her the dispenser, but I've sent so many other people since then products that I've forgotten where she is.
Right.
I think she's in Kent.
Right.
And our doctor friend, he's somewhere in Oxford. So, yeah, he's been the middleman.
That's great. Yeah, we've been recording about an hour now, so I think we should probably, the memory will be running out. But I think that wraps up the dispenser, doesn't it? And also, in the same parcel, a lot of sharing about how you make your herb Gans and the power you feel it has. Yeah. And the copper mesh. And the
nano-coating. The nano-coating is very important.
Your nano-coating with the herb Gans.
Everybody's having problems. What my last advice is just put all your metals in that Gans, in that caustic solution, and leave it. Leave it to marinate so that it goes into a nano-coating and loses its nano-coating. Goes into a nano-coating, losing until it becomes quite plasmatic on its own. So therefore, you're putting that plasmatic material straight away onto a copper, and then it will be, you know, it would intermingle immediately. It would understand what to do, and it would have a nano-coating much quicker. This is
Mr. Cash said with nano-coating, it shouldn't be going black when it's actually in the caustic. It only goes black when it's out in the air.
Yeah, that is the normal thing. But what I noticed with this stuff, it can go black. It can go black because what happens? Yeah, because it's losing its nano coating so many times that all you've got is particles of nano coating floating around in the caustic. It might attach itself to the copper. I don't know how it's working, but it's becoming blacker much more quicker.
Okay.
Much more quicker than you would just have caustic soda.
Yeah. No, we'll give it a try. But yeah, because I have trouble coating as well. Yeah, well, thanks very much, Maz. I'll stop recording.
Okay.